to the Author to Authority podcast. And today I've got a very interesting guest as we continue the series of interviews that I've been doing from the one-day Podapalooza conference. Now, I haven't mentioned this in the previous interviews, but if you have been listening to this and think, wow, I'd love to be able to go on and, get 5 interviews in a day, I'm pretty sure Kimberly Crow is going to hold this again. So send me an email at kim@authortoauthority.com if you want to know when the next one is, and I'll try to remember to send you an email back and send you the link to register, because this is a great way to get your name out there. When you upgrade to the VIP, you get to be on 5 podcasts in one day. Now, I, as a podcast host, has always taken the other option, which is getting a whole bunch of episodes recorded. But I love the concept of just really being able to get out there fast. Now, Anahita Shahrvini, I said that wrong, but I've done, I think you're the 7th interview today so far. She's going to be a very interesting guest. And this episode is actually not only going to go on the podcast, but I also have a craft channel. And one of the things that I love about her is she has turned hobby into business, and her area of expertise is crafting, and she's also an author. So I think we're going to have a really interesting conversation today. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kim. It's good to be here.
So tell me a bit about yourself, about your crafting business, and, how did you get from going, from a hobby to turning something you love into that business?
So yes, I normally have a business mind, and since I was very young, I have seen everything through the lens of how I can make a business out of it. Any of my friends that used to make something, I said, ooh, this will be great if you can sell it or you can package it this way. Mm-hmm. And I have been born into an entrepreneurial family and helped run a family business since I was 19.
Oh, that's cool.
So when I moved to Canada, I first started my own travel agency, but it was something that I was done with when my kids were born. Mm-hmm. And around 2010, I had 2 problems to solve. One, to have a reusable snack bag safe for my kids to go to school with. And the other one was that my mom was new to Canada and she was bored. She wanted to do something and be purposeful. So, and she loves sewing. Unfortunately, I don't as much. But me being that kind of a business person and crafter my whole life, at one sleepless night, I made these 2 problems, I created a business out of these 2 problems called GogoBags. So, but along the way, I learned how to do business of handmade. So we took these amazing reusable bags and from craft markets to selling wholesale to major stores in Canada. Within a few years. Yeah.
Now I'm Canadian. What part of Canada are you in?
I'm in Vancouver. I'm in North Vancouver, BC.
Okay, I'm in Ontario. So, well, I love interviewing my fellow Canadians. It's always a privilege and an honor.
Yeah.
I love what you said. And I think this really applies to my audience because you had several problems. So you took things that you loved, but you also looked at other things that you could do. And you looked at your mom who, crafted in a way you didn't.
Yeah.
And yet you made a way for her also as well to do something that she loves. I've been crafting since I was little. I started knitting at the age of 5 at my grandma's knee.
Wow.
It took me into my 20s to actually figure out how to knit. I did it off and on, when I was a kid and in my teenage years, and then, started seriously, from knitting to crochet to cross stitch. I have my new love now. It's called Cricut. It's just,
Oh, I
I
love
love
Cricut.
my Cricut machine.
I know. I
And-
don't have a Cricut machine yet, but that's in my wish list. Yeah, I love it.
Well, the best place to get it is watch the sales and get it from Cricut.com, upgrade to the Access, and then you get it cheaper and free shipping. And yeah, I actually just upgraded my machine again, and that was sort of my birthday. I'd been collecting money over Christmas and my birthday and that, so that was my treat to me. So yeah,
Nice.
it has nothing to do with being an entrepreneur, but if you love crafting, check out the Cricut machine, because it's so versatile for men and women.
Yeah.
But let's get back to it, because we could bunny trail all day when it comes to
Absolutely.
crafting. So we want to make
Especially
sure
paper craft.
So what was it like, though, starting that business and taking it from a hobby actually into a business?
Well, I have to say at the beginning, it was very exciting because, when you do something that you love and it's a craft, it's so much fun. And then it's kind of a roller coaster that you're high and it's very exciting. And then all of a sudden you realize that, oh, I have to learn a lot of different skills that is not craft related. And I have to actually kind of guess a lot of, not guess, but kind of read the mind of my customers to be able to sell better, how to price properly. So I went from like our first launch was in a craft market at a Christmas show.
Mm-hmm.
And we sold out. It was like awesome. And I had this business idea. I went to our local news paper and we announced our launch a day before the market was on. So we sold out. But then I realized after the market, oh, I didn't even make the cost of the fabric that I used. I didn't know how to price my product properly. So I learned that, and then I learned something else, and I made a few mistakes along the way until I got I hired my first coach, and then I started to seeing things as a real product-based person, business side. So it takes a while if you have the right mentor and coach to guide you through the right path, then it will be very easy and fun.
You brought up a couple of really good points. And, one of them is it's great to be able to make the crafts. But like you said, there's skills you have to learn if you want to run a business.
Absolutely.
And one of the skills you have to learn, one of the first skills you have to learn is how to sell.
Yes.
I remember being at a conference once, and the gentleman who was speaking pushed every single button I had. It was not an enjoyable day. And one thing he said is, if you're not making profit, if you're not making money in your business, you don't have a business, you have a hobby.
Exactly.
A very expensive hobby. And I'm like, how dare he say that? I'm really good at what I do, but I realized I wasn't making money.
That's exactly my quote. I had no idea somebody else said it too, but I say if you're not making money in your handmade business, you just have an expensive hobby. That's true.
Yeah. And that's okay if that's what you want, right?
Exactly.
Like there's nothing wrong with that. If you're doing the crafting because you love the crafting and you just, you want to sell some things and you go do a few shows, whatever, and you might break even and that makes you happy, that's okay.
Absolutely. I was actually on another interview earlier, and I mentioned that the beauty of the crafting business is that you can have this to just earn pocket money. You can have it to earn a decent living, and you can even expand it to have 6-figure, 7-figure business. It's all up to the person who's running the business and their goal. But one of the things that I see with my clients is that a lot of them, they don't see that far. They don't even realize that they have to set money goals for themselves and other different goals to get where they want to go. I had a workshop and I was mentioning, okay, so what kind of a salary do you want from this business? And this lady who has been doing like 10 years of jewelry making, she said, well, I don't know. I have to, at the end of the year, I have to figure out what was my profit to see what salary I get. And I said, well, yeah, but if you do that, you will just staying where you are right now. Yeah.
And again, that all comes back down to pricing, right? How do you price your business? And, even if we're not talking crafts, let's say your hobby is you love to help people and you love to coach people, right? That's a hobby that can turn into something else. Like, maybe you have a service that you offer that, you just do for people basically for free. They hand you some money, you don't really care, right? But you want to turn that into a business. The pricing element is crucial to that. And, especially as crafters, and I'm guilty of it, even though I was an entrepreneur long before I started crafting, like a crafting business, is underpricing and undervaluing your product or your service.
Yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. And the other thing is that some crafters, they think because it's something that they love to do, and because it's something that comes easy, they're shy away from asking for that sale and asking for the right price. They're giving and it happened to me. I'm guilty of it too. I have given away my product to family and friends and never asked them to pay for it. We don't think money at the beginning.
No. And even, when you go to like your first craft shows and stuff like that, right? You tend to underprice. And I think, part of it is learning what your market will pay for your products, because you can overprice as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's finding that sweet spot, where you're making profit. And the other thing too is looking at, where are you selling these products? If you're selling it in a church basement, for a Christmas craft show, you're not going to be able to charge as much this is my 7th interview. You can't charge as much as if you were able to maybe get into a curated show where you could sell those products maybe even for 10 times the amount because of the way the show is positioned.
Absolutely. The timing of the show, if it's it all depends to a lot of factors. What are the type of your craft that you're selling? What time of the year you're selling it? What is your ideal market? What is your ideal customer? And the other thing is that if you are using your story and how you are positioning yourself, it's the reason I went to this line, and I was inspired to teach crafters and makers on how to grow their business, was that when I wanted to do this, I was doing this, I had to learn from scratch. The business coaches that I had, they were all service business coaches. And I had to kind of come up with different things to kind of combine the ideology of the service business with the product business to kind of figure it out. And yes, your pricing and where you sell has a lot to do with your success. And one, if I can go on,
Go
I'm
ahead.
not sure. One tip that I have for all the crafters out there that they go to farmers markets and they go to craft markets is to have 3 different price points. Have something at a
Yep.
lower price point, especially if it's a Christmas market. There are lots of,
Oh, I've
people
sold
that,
tons at Christmas markets. Man, I love Christmas. I love them.
yeah, I love them too. And if you're selling something that is above, I don't know, $75 above, well, you won't have that many sales because there are a ton of people going to Christmas shows to buy $20 gifts for their coworkers and that kit that comes with their piggyback to buy something for mom. You have to have something for those. Or the people that want to just try for once and see if they like your art or not.
Yeah.
So definitely have 3 price points.
Yeah. I found most shows I've done, if I stay under the $20 range, I tend to do well. But what I've always done is that, you collect names and email addresses, right? So consider some of your lower cost items, not a loss leader because you're not losing money on these items. But by producing some of these, lower cost items, people like them. But if you get their name and email, get them into a draw or something like that, then you can start communicating through them through email and start, because they liked your lower end products over time. If you have a good email system, and you don't spam, right? But you provide value in your emails, you can actually be selling the higher end stuff through your emails and get them through the door with the lower cost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And those lower cost items doesn't mean that it needs to be like underpriced. It's just that it's a smaller item and that's a cost of your market research. That's a cost of it's like your Facebook ad cost.
Exactly.
And you still got money off of it. It's not like you didn't make money. At least you covered your booth with it. Yep. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The other tip is that absolutely get email addresses as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. How can people connect with you if they've heard what you've had to say today and they're like, you know what, I need to talk to Anahita about, turning my hobby into a business? How can they connect?
Absolutely. So they can connect with me through my website, askanahita.com. And my social media handles on Instagram and Facebook is Ask Anahita as well.
Okay.
And I have a book coming up that's it's called Currency of Crafting in June. So that will be available on all the platforms as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anahita, for being on the show today.
It was an absolute pleasure.
So this has been Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the very next episode. Bye now.